My dear friend, I am aware that writing to you like this may seem more than a little presumptuous. After all, we have not seen each other for many long years. But I recall the days of our childhood companionship. Now, as the terrible afflictions of mind and body slowly rot my adult frame, I fear that without your company and solace, I may sink even further into the dark shadows that reach from the abyss of time. Therefore, I beg you to come with all speed to my family estate, where it is my hope that you will enjoy a long stay. Yours ever, Roderick Usher. Hush, Madeline, hush.
Baron Productions presents The Fall of the House of Usher by Edgar Allan Poe, with Stephen Mawson as the voice of the author.
It was a dull, dark, soundless day as I rode through the woods towards my destination, and at length, as the shades of the evening drew on, I found myself within view of the melancholy House of Usher.
Good God, what a place!
I know not how it was, but with the first glimpse of the building, the bleak walls, the vacant eye-like windows, the white trunks of the few decayed trees that surrounded the stonework, a sense of insufferable gloom pervaded my spirit.
What is it that unnerves me so about this house?
There was an iciness, a sinking, a sickening of the heart, an unredeemed dreariness about the place.
Well, dreariness or no, I promised my old friend I'd visit. So?
It was upon crossing the bridge and approaching the front doors that I happened to glance down into the tarn, from whose waters rise the rocky foundations on which the great house is set.
My Lord, is it my imagination, or...
It seemed to me in the half-light of the evening that the water itself emanated a glow, a strange luminescence that defied all laws of science and nature, as if some other worldly force were present here, lurking within its depths.
It is a dream. It has to be a dream.
Master Poe, you are expected, sir.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
If you would like to leave your horse here, sir, the groomsman will tend to him directly. This way, if you please.
Of course. I'll be glad to get indoors after the long ride. Good Lord, look at that!
Pardon me, sir?
That huge crack, zigzagging all the way down the bricks from the tower up there. Why, it's as if the entire building has been split in two. No sign of any disturbed masonry, though. The crack just goes on, down into the waters of the tarn. Surely, is it even safe to live here?
I'm sure if that were not so, the master would be the first to sense it, sir. This way, if you please.
With stealthy step, the valet conducted me in silence through to the main hall, where I gazed with that same sense of foreboding at the sombre tapestries and the ebony black walls around me. From there, we climbed the great staircase, where I spotted a figure watching us from above.
Who is that?
Oh, just the family physician. He visits both Master Roderick and his sister daily.
The doctor said nothing as we passed him, but in his eyes I saw a look of such greed that I was forced to turn hastily away. We made our way along many dark and intricate passages and eventually arrived at the studio of his master, where, rising from the sofa, I beheld the countenance of my gracious host.
Alan, my friend, oh, I'm so glad you could come, and so quickly.
Of course, you said in your letter.
Oh, I knew I could rely on you to answer. I was just saying to Madeline this morning, you remember Madeline, my sister, I was just saying to her how I knew my old friend wouldn't desert me in my illness.
And what exactly is it that's wrong, my friend?
'Tis a constitutional and a family evil, one for which I doubt any real remedy can be found. My senses have developed a particular acuity. As a result, strong odours are oppressive to me. I cannot wear clothes of any coarse material, and I can endure only the most insipid food.
And the lack of strong light in the house.
You have it in one, my friend. If I were to be exposed to anything more than the faintest glimmer of light, it would cause me intensive pain. I don't know when I shall ever see daylight again.
Well, fear not. I'm sure we can find a way to get you back to your old self. We'll have you running through the woods on a bright afternoon, just like in the old days, by the time I've finished with you. Now, where can I unpack?
I was shown along to my room, and after being allowed time to settle in, I rejoined my host in the dining room for supper. The food was not lavish, though there was more than enough bread and meat to satisfy my modest needs. Usher, meanwhile, contented himself with a bowl of thin soup and some water.
More wine, sir?
Yes, please. Thank you, Lucius. You should try some of this wine, Roderick, old boy. It might make you feel better with a hearty vintage inside you.
Alas, I fear I cannot. I'll stay with the water. I see you are admiring the painting above the mantelpiece.
I was remembering the day you painted it. You remember? We sat on the riverbank all afternoon, absorbed in our works of art, till your parents sent the servants out to look for us. They were terrified we'd had an accident, we'd been gone so long. You know, you really should take up painting again.
Perhaps. Sometime when...
We could both do it, along by the river again.
Oh, no, I never venture out.
Well, we don't have to go by the daylight. We could wait for a full moon and...
Roderick.
Sister? Madeline, what is it? You should be in bed.
I was dreaming, Roderick. I don't like dreaming. Your mind's not safe in the dark.
It's not good for you to be wandering the house on your own. Sit down here. I'll have Lucius take you back upstairs. Lucius? Where has that valet gone to? Lucius!
As I regarded my companion's sister, now staring hard at me from across the table, I was seized with an utter astonishment, not unmingled with dread. And yet I found it impossible to explain why. Her eyes would not leave mine, and it seemed to me there was something darker beyond her gaze, something which I now realized I had also glimpsed within the eyes of her brother.
So, Miss Madeline, delighted to see you again. You remember me? Edgar Allan. Your brother and I were childhood friends, and...
You? Sir, you reek of terror. Even in this house of despair, it radiates from you. Your arrival here means something, I know not what, but I dread to learn.
Walking about on her own, I tell you.
My apologies, sir.
It's hardly your fault, Lucius. Where's that doctor?
I think I saw him leave half an hour ago, sir.
Ridiculous, man. What am I paying him for?
I'll escort Miss Madeline back upstairs, shall I, sir?
Yes, do that, would you? And see that this time she's not disturbed.
Very good, sir. Come along then, miss. Let's get you safely to bed again.
Good night, Miss Madeline.
Your arrival means something.
She seems somewhat less vibrant than I remember.
We are both afflicted in our own ways. I fear that death has had his eye on her for some time, and she my sole companion and my last living relative on earth. Her decease would leave me the last of the ancient race of Ushers.
Now, I'm sure she's not going to die. That physician of yours will see to that. They can do wonders.
That physician seeks her body for medical science. You cannot tell me you've not seen the greed in his eyes. As for me, I shall almost certainly perish in this deplorable folly. I dread the events of the future, not in themselves, but in their results. I shudder at the thought of any, even the most trivial incident, which may operate upon this intolerable agitation of the soul. I have indeed no abhorrence of danger, except in its absolute effect, in terror. In this unnerved, in this pitiable condition, I feel that the period will sooner or later arrive when I must abandon life and reason together, in some struggle with the grim phantasm, fear.
It was evident now just how far down the path of despair my friend had gone, and what a mammoth task it would be, having accepted it, for me to bring him back. Nevertheless, I ventured into it with every ounce of will I possessed, and the following morning we began in earnest. We read together and painted, though in his study, not on the banks of the river. Or else I listened as if in a dream to the strange musical compositions he improvised. As the days became weeks, I believed I saw a change in him, Certainly, his confidence was growing when it came to his singing.
Well, let's have it, sir. What mad ditties do you have for me today?
Mad may be right, my friend, when you hear it. In the greenest of our valleys, by good nature's tenanted, once a fair and stately palace, radiant reared its head. In the monarch thought's dominion, it stood there. Never seraph spread opinion over fabric so fair.
Not bad. You know, you're definitely improving.
Oh, wait, it continues. Banners yellow, glorious, golden, on its roof did float and flow. All this was in the olden...
Sir! Master Roderick, sir!
Lucius, whatever's the matter?
Miss Madeline, sir!
No, she can't be.
Roderick.
She can't be dead!
What little progress my friend had made towards recovery was all but lost in the grief of his sister's demise. And as we gazed upon her lifeless form sprawled upon the bed, I too felt the deep sadness of the occasion.
And now the House of Usher dies with me.
I'm here, my friend. I'll stay as long as you need. Anything I can do, just ask.
There is one thing in point of fact, Alan.
Name it.
Might I ask your assistance, bearing her body to one of the vaults within the main walls of this house? I wish to preserve her corpse there for at least 2 weeks. You saw my physician. You know how keen he is to acquire my sister for scientific research.
Don't worry, we'll not let him take her.
It's just that, with the burial ground being so exposed, and Lucius my only servant, we could hardly deter any grave robbers that might set about unearthing...
Say no more, my friend. We'll take care of her together.
I had no desire to oppose what I saw as a harmless and quite natural precaution. The body having been encoffined, we two alone bore it along the dark passages to its place of rest. The vault in which we placed it was small, damp, and entirely without light. Even the flaming torches we used seemed to shrink to almost nothing in the oppressive atmosphere of the place.
You know, they used this room as a dungeon for prisoners in medieval days, and then as a cache for gunpowder in later times.
How charming. I never would have guessed. Now, help me lift.
There we go.
There. Her coffin will be safe on this table.
Open the lid. I need to look upon her face one last time.
As you wish.
It was on this final viewing of the still flushed face of Madeline Usher that I realised just how far the similarities went between her and her brother. The eyes, in particular, were strikingly akin.
We were twins, you know.
I had wondered. Come on, let's screw this lid shut and go. It doesn't do well to look too long upon the dead.
Having secured the iron door of the vault, we made our way, much dejected, to the upper portion of the house. And now, some days of bitter grief having elapsed, a clear change came over the mental disorder of my friend. His ordinary manner had vanished. His ordinary occupations were neglected or forgotten. He roamed from chamber to chamber with hurried, unequal, and objectless step. The pallor of his face had assumed, if possible, a more ghastly colour. But the light of his eyes had almost utterly gone out. His tone of voice had changed from that of deep melancholy to a strange quivering terror, as if constantly on the brink of some secret which he hadn't the courage to divulge. And though I tried, as I had done before, to relieve his suffering, there seemed no hope. I'd find him gazing into nothing for long hours, as if listening for some imaginary sound. It was no wonder that his condition terrified, that it even infected me. I felt creeping upon me by slow yet certain degrees the wild influence of his own madness, especially in the dark hours, alone, at night.
Can't sleep. Can't sleep. And the hours wane on and on. What in the world are those noises? I can feel the afflictions of my host gnawing at my sanity, as if his mental instability were somehow contagious. Enough. Get up. Out of the bed. Perhaps pacing around this room will tire my body out enough to give me some small repose, before the terrors of the morning replace those of the night. I have to leave this house. It's the only way. I'll take him with me if I have to. It'll do us both some good to get away from here. But what if he won't come? And if he objects to my leaving? What if he tries to keep me here by force? There's only one servant, but I have no taste for struggle or confrontation. My strength is untried. Should I escape by night? No, I could never face the tarn. Not in the darkness. Who's there?
Usher, may I come in?
One moment.
I threw on my clothes with haste and opened the door.
Hello, my friend. Could you not rest either?
Have you not seen it?
Seen what?
Stay, you shall.
No, don't open the window.
There. Look, tearing its way across the landscape.
Whirlwind.
And the clouds, so thick. The topmost turrets of the house are already smothered in them. And there, rising from the tarn, that strange mist that threatens to engulf us all.
He was right. And now, more than ever, the waters below us seem to emit their own eerie glow.
No, you shall not behold this. Now look, these appearances are just natural phenomena, not uncommon in weather such as this. The same with the rank miasma of the tarn. Come, sit here in the armchair. The outside air is chilling and dangerous to your frame. Relax, and I will read to you.
Yes, I think that will help.
Here, The Mad Tryst of Sir Launcelot Canning, one of your favourites.
I began to read, but before I had gone more than a few pages, another noise suddenly rent our ears.
What was that?
Must be a tree blowing down outside.
That didn't come from outside. That was somewhere in this house.
Don't be ridiculous. Nothing inside the house could make that noise. I'll read on.
I continued, but had barely begun when...
Probably just the wind. Well, it has to be, Roderick. Roderick? Roderick, answer me.
But my friend gave no sign that he had heard me, and now his gaze was fixed resolutely upon the chamber door, his body shuddering, and a sickly smile upon his lips.
Roderick! Roderick, can you not hear?
Not hear? Yes, I hear it, and have heard it. Long, many minutes, many hours, many days have I heard it, yet I dared not. Oh, pity me, miserable wretch that I am, I dared not speak.
Speak what, my friend? Roderick!
Madeline, my sister. We have put her living in the tomb.
What?
Said I not that my senses were acute? I now tell you that I heard her first feeble movements in the hollow coffin. I heard them many, many days ago, yet I dared not speak. And now, tonight, the rending of her coffin, and the grating of the iron hinges of her prison, and the struggles within the coppered archway of the vault. Oh, whither shall I fly? Will she not be here any moment? Is she not hurrying to upbraid me for my haste? I tell you, she now stands without the door.
Roderick, come to me, my brother.
Madeline, no, please, I didn't mean to. I swear I never...
Come here!
White robes dripping with blood, she launched herself at her brother and bore him to the floor.
Dead! Both of them!
From that chamber and from that mansion I fled, aghast. The storm was still abroad in all its wrath as I found myself crossing the old causeway.
No time to look for my horse. Have to get away. Look out, you fool!
Suddenly, there shot along the path a wild light, and as I turned to witness the last of the mighty bolt which had struck the building's highest tower, the great cracks I had seen in the stonework upon my arrival began widening in a terrible fissure.
The whole mansion is split in two.
I saw the colossal walls rushing asunder. There was a long, tumultuous shouting sound like the voice of 1,000 waters, and the deep and dank tarn at my feet closed sullenly and silently over the fragments of the House of Usher.
The Fall of the House of Usher featured the voices of Stephen Mawson as Edgar Allan Poe, Paul Toy as his younger self, Daniel Wilmot as Roderick Usher, Nell Frampton as Madeline Usher, Ben Thornburn as Lucius the Butler, and Natalie Rowe as the announcer. The script was based on the story by Edgar Allan Poe, adapted to radio by Daniel Wilmot, and produced by Barron Productions.